What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 55 of Music in the Minor League. Today we are joined by Jewelz Melody. You may recognize her name from our episode we did with Mel Gutierrez from Shame on Me. Jewelz is the other vocalist and sometimes guitarist and sometimes percussionist for Shame on Me. She also gets invited to sing with all sorts of bands like Dim Roots, Opie, Hendrix, and much more. She also started a solo career where she started out doing an episode of Long River Sessions, which is worth checking out. Our friend Masaya puts that on. And while we're talking about Masaya, we got to thank him because he let us use one of her songs for the bumper music. All right. Jewelz' story is absolutely captivating. Her path to music is one that a lot of people need to hear, if not everybody. So we're not going to run it by giving you any sort of lead in or hints on it. Just listen to the interview and it's great. The main thing to take away from it is you need a diverse community in music. People coming from all different backgrounds and abilities to make things happen. And Jewelz came up in a very interesting way and is just one of the most purely talented vocalists I've ever heard in person. So we hope you'll give the episode a listen. And before we start, as always, get the housekeeping out of the way. First off, if you like the episode, listen to other ones. Tell friends about the episode. Share it on social media. Help us get the word out. We're not charging anything. It's free. In a world that's so caught up in finances and everything, dude, one more free thing you can have in the world, man. We like to keep it that way. So just share it, help get the word out, and we'd appreciate it. Number two, if you want to see Jewelz in person, she's doing a solo show with So Far Sounds on March 8th. Go to sofarsounds.com, look up Houston, and look for the March 8th date. They kind of hide the lineup and they hide the location. It will be in the Heights. So it's like a kind of like a mystery thing, but we do know Jewelz will be performing. So be sure to go there and pick up a ticket. She's going to be great. Then Shame on Me's next show that's on the books, they'll be playing the Walk This Earth Music Festival, which you heard about in episode 1 of this season. They'll be playing on Saturday, April 13th. They'll be playing at 4 p.m. So if you're heading out to that festival, make sure you're there Friday for everybody. Make sure you're out there by 4 p.m. on Saturday to enjoy Shame on Me, just like breaking hearts out in the field. As for Brightwire, well, we've got nothing going on for the rest of this month, man. We're kind of laying low. In March, we're going to do a 4-show run. We're going to be playing Opening Bell Coffee in Dallas on March 8th. On March 9th, we'll be at JJ's Alley in Oklahoma City. We'll also be recording a Music in the Minor League episode that day. On the next night, that Monday, March 10th, we'll be at Kirby's in Wichita, Kansas. And then on March 11th, we'll be at Beer's Good Brewing in Norman, Oklahoma. But that's still a ways away. We got another episode coming before then, so you don't know too much more about all that. Let's just cut it. Talked about it enough. Again, thanks to our friend Masaya for giving us the hookup on letting us use one of the songs from his episode of Long River Sessions with Jewelz. This one's called Warnings, and we'll see you on the other side.
My heart's racing, can't catch my breath. Love's a silly game, but this one feels like death. Easing closer, faster than a lightning bolt. Oh, my heart's racing like I seen a scary ghost. Ooh, I should've known, should've known, I should've seen the signs. I'm lost in his touch, I'm out my mind. A taste of danger, a thrill untamed. His lips are sweet, but I'm to blame. Oh Lord, I should've known, should've known. Oh yes, Lord, I should've known, should've known. In the shadows, where secrets go to hide, he pulls me closer with nowhere left to hide. Oh no, whispers linger like a siren's fading call. I'm falling faster, Lord knows I can't resist the fall. Ooh, I should've known. kisses shoulda came with warnings. His kisses shoulda came with warnings. His kisses shoulda came with warnings. Oh Lord, oh 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 oh! I said his kisses shoulda came with warnings. His kisses shoulda came with warnings. I said his kisses shoulda came with warnings. Oh Lord, ooh.
All right, y'all, welcome to another episode of Music in the Minor League. Today we are joined by the one and only Jewelz Melody of Shame on Me, Dim Roots, yes, solo music. Is there stuff I'm unaware of?
Professional shower singer.
Professional shower singer.
Nice.
I'm apparently an odd shower talker. I come out of the shower all the time like, what the hell were you talking about?
We both ask you that. Your son and I both are like, what was going on in there? You were having a conversation with yourself.
It's a good way. It's a good way to deal with ADD, you know.
Yes.
So
That's
you're,
one healthy way.
you know, it's like cutting through the thing to it because I know there's gonna reach a point soon where you're sick of telling the story, but I mean, your career basically started as a shower singer.
That's why I say professional shower singer, because it all comes back to the shower.
Put that on your CV, girl.
That should probably be my album cover, just like a funny like hairnet and just like a head peeking through the shower like this or something. I don't know.
That'd be good. Shower songs.
Shower
There you go. Sad songs from the shower.
Crying in my bathtub.
So that's good too. Yeah, I know. It's like you do have one of the best like stories as far as like finding your way to music, and so
And we like for people to come on here and tell us their story. So I don't know if you've gotten a hint yet, but we're going to make you tell it.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. So what we always start out with on the podcast when we're talking to, someone is like, tell us about what got you into music. So you could start there if you want.
Ooh. I mean, I guess it all really does just stem back to the shower. So, like, and what y'all are familiar with from, like, previous, like, stories or whatever that I've shared with y'all, too, is both my parents are deaf. So I grew up in a household where music and sound wasn't really a norm for me. You know, it was just hands flying in the air and flickering strobe lights as doorbells and bed shakers that, like, woke you up because somebody was either ringing the doorbell or, like, it was an alarm clock to go to school or something like that. So as far as my exposure to music, I guess it kind of stems from like music class in elementary and being exposed to the radio in elementary by one of my old music teachers. It was like, I'm a 90s baby, so what was on the radio was like anything 90s related. And I think the first song I heard was Lauryn Hill, and it was like killing me softly with his soul. Yeah. So I remember like
The Fugees.
The Fugees, yes. So like that's where my first love, like my first artist crush came from. But going forward with it, I would like hear those melodies in my head. So when I would go home, my safe place was the shower. So I discovered like, oh, sounds kind of cool in here. What the heck? It was so echoey and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes sense now because I recently learned that Weird Al Yankovic like recorded his whole like I guess first album in a college bathroom dorm because of the acoustics. So I was like, well, you know what? I feel that. But
That doesn't surprise me actually.
yeah. So I would sing in there. That was my place. So it was anything from like Dove shampoo to like Rubber Ducky, you're the one, from Sesame Street.
So commercials at first?
Commercials too, because that was the day where the jingles for commercials were like really catchy.
That's true. 80s and 90s were like the golden age of the jingle. Yeah. I used to get like when I was a little kid, we would all sit around the dining room table, but my dad would have the TV on. Of course, he would not be facing the TV. Nobody could really see it from where we were sitting, but we could hear it. And I would start singing jingles at the table, and I would get stabbed with a fork. Like my dad would be like, "That's it. No
so
singing at the
gangster.
table."
I'm gonna stab you.
Everybody else is don't put your elbows on the table. Kim, stop singing at the table.
Oh my god. So I think it was like Alicia Keys came out, and then I was like jamming her, and I was singing like Fallen. Mm-hmm. And this one day, my brother like just happened to be home, and he was just banging on the door, really loud, like, "Oh my God, Jewelz, is that you singing?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Damn, girl, you can sing really good." And I was just like, "Really? You're not just saying that because you're my brother?" And he's like, "No, keep that shit going." So I was like, okay. So then from there, it was kind of like, all right, I guess I do know how to sing. So then I would just keep going until I just kind of found my happy space with it. And
was that like middle school?
Yeah, then that was like middle school time. And then so I got really, I guess, ballsy enough to want to try out for choir. And that was like the realm of like, yeah, Alicia Keys and all that stuff. So I remember singing for the choir teacher. But I was also a really good cellist too in middle school. So my orchestra teacher and the choir teacher were always fighting for me. And yeah, it just kind of grew from there.
I've decided that we're done with the podcast. I don't like her. She has too many talents. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Let it go.
You play multiple instruments too.
And maybe that was my first exposure to ADD, ADHD too. You know, undiagnosed or something.
But
I need to learn all the instruments.
I imagine though, man, for being a kid, like think about when I was a kid, how many times my mom yelled at me to shut up, stop playing guitar, stop, turn down your stereo. You know, having parents that aren't going to be like, turn that down and stop singing and stop making noise helps. That, you know, you can kind of, it's like, okay, I've got this, and oddly enough, it's like I have this entire part of the world that's just for me, that like no one, me have your brother, but you know, as your little brothers, you don't really care about.
Nah, he was my older brother.
Oh, your
like
older brother, wow.
Yeah, but he was, oh yeah, I should probably tell that part. Well, I have an older brother, then it's myself, and then it's my sister. My older brother was never really around because he was just, you know, doing, I guess, in his own world, and well, you know, and then there's me, and then my sister has autism, so although like I had my own world to sing loud and stuff because my parents can't hear me, my sister's sensitive to sound.
Oh man, so yeah.
So it was a catch-22 because it was like if I would belt the way I belt now, heck no, she gonna come in there smacking my door down like a WWF wrestler or something, and it's go time, you know. But yeah, I literally did have like my space to kind of just be myself and sing, and I guess I gravitated towards a lot of instruments because it was like, what is this? Like, this is sound. This is what sound. I mean, I don't have this at home, so I want to experience everything that I can touch. Yeah.
So you grew up in just like a really quiet environment. I don't know if people really think about that, but I know when I grew up, there was always music in my house.
Yeah.
Always.
And see, that's not normal for me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I didn't even know the TV had a volume button because there was no point. Like, it was always just the TV was on.
And you read the subtitles.
And just subtitles were on.
Yeah.
And then I realized there was, like, this weird little speaker thing on the remote. And I just pressed, I was like, oh, snap. The TV's making noise. And so, yeah. And I didn't even know, like, smoke detectors ran out of batteries. Like, I thought the chirping sound was a normal thing in the house.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't until like my first like boyfriend that I brought up. He's like, you know, babe, your batteries are like dead in your smoke alarms. That's kind of dangerous. I was like, well, my mom and dad can't hear them either way, so we're screwed.
Right, that was always always going off in my house.
I mean, okay.
I didn't know it was dangerous.
Who knows? I lived my life in danger this whole time.
Well, that's kind of the interesting part, because like when I first started seeing Kim, like she worked in vocational rehab for people with disability stuff. There was so much stuff she would talk about. I was like, I never even, you know, as like someone who could see and hear relatively well, you know, glasses and just like what all the time. But, you know, it's like, man, you don't really put a lot of that in there where you're like, yeah, man, things like don't run. There's like no sound. There's no.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, wow. See, I had no idea.
Don't get me started about driving in the car with people who are deaf. That's a whole nother world, too.
So, yeah, that helps you. It has to help with like getting on stage. Like your nerves must be.
I lived my life in anxiety.
Right. My nerves are steel, like nothing phases me.
Having to like, if you like rode in the passenger side of where the driver's at, your responsibility was to hold the wheel while they're speaking, because you know they're deaf, so they would communicate through the rearview mirror. So like my mom used to sit in the back seat, my dad was in the front. He'd be signing, talking to my mom, and I'd be holding the wheel like this, moving it.
Wow, I only had to hold the wheel when my mom lit her cigarette.
Dang. And don't get me started with water. They would always forget to turn off the water.
Oh, God. Wow.
So, yeah, maybe that's the only sound I was ever exposed to as a kid.
Running water.
But yeah, it started in the shower, and then my love grew, and then high school was even better because then musical theater came in, and
Ooh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I can act and sing at the same time now. What is this? And it was Grease. So I got to be casted as Sandy, and then I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I could try for American Idol. They didn't cast me because they said I looked too much like Jordan Sparks during that time, and that was like 2006, 2007.
Oh, wow. You actually do look a little bit like
Yeah,
Jewelz.
yeah. I mean, it's okay.
Now that you mention it.
Tried out for The Voice, didn't make it there too, because each room is like, they have different people listening, but they're from different genres, but they don't tell you. And the lady kept asking me to sing a country song, and I was like, I didn't know jack about country during that time.
Yeah.
Because my world was only 90s R&B.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you tried really, really hard
I did.
to like put your singing out there. Were you writing songs to begin with as well, or you were mostly interested in just belting it out in the shower?
I was just belting it out in the shower. I didn't really like get into the music side until like, cause like I was like big into poetry, cause I was like during the whole time where like slam poetry was a thing. You know, I don't really write love songs, but the right love song will make me write love songs. You know.
But you know, at the same time, that was songwriting. You were songwriting.
I didn't realize I was songwriting. I was like, this has like a beat to it. Maybe I can bust the flow. Nah, I can't bust the flow for nothing. But
you tried, and now you know.
And I was like, you know, I'm just gonna write in my notebook, and then one day I'll find something that fits. And as I evolved in college, and then also, you know, with Shame on Me, it just kind of became natural.
Yeah. And now you're in like 97 different bands and play 60 different instruments. And what people don't, I mean, people already know how you sound because we'll play one of your tracks at the beginning of the episode.
Oh my goodness.
So they already know how amazing you sound. Is there anything you don't do well? I never ask this of people, but I'm really angry with you right now.
What I don't do well, math.
Okay.
Sometimes like when I'm interpreting, because I'm a sign language interpreter, and I have to interpret like a chemistry and they're talking about like stoichiometry, I'm just like, here we go, letters and numbers together. Like they say musicians make the best mathematicians. I wonder who made that lie.
That's what I say. If you look at how they'll get ripped off on their record deal, it's like, no.
But I think like I do get that. Like real musicians can do the math of transposing.
That's a whole different thing.
That's amazing. I can't do that.
Like the only fractions I want to do is pizza being fit in my mouth.
Right. Just 1/8 of that too.
Yeah,
See,
you know.
it's the drug dealers for the musicians that are the ones that are good at math.
Right.
This much for this and this.
I think probably I've always connected music. You know, music is math, but it's also a language.
No, it totally is.
And you're obviously good with language, so that's
right.
a cool thing. Well, you're what, trilingual?
Yeah, I had to think about that one. Yeah. English, sign language, and Spanish.
Is it ASL or another type of sign language?
ASL. I also know C, signing exact English. I'm learning some LSM, which is Latin sign language. I'm trying to learn Haitian Creole, but we'll see how that goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever sleep?
I do, and sometimes I dream in all those languages.
Oh my gosh. Jewelz has a Duolingo dream going on.
Man, have you seen how toxic the widget is on Duolingo? Like, do you have it?
I don't have it. Sam's been talking about getting it though.
It's like a toxic boyfriend. Like, cause like if you miss a day or two, it's all up in your face on the widget trying to like guilt you into like playing. And then eventually it looks like it's gonna die and it's like a skeleton version of the Duolingo owl and stuff like that. I think one time the widget was like, what's that show with the shape Squid Games? It had like a Squid Games appearance to it too.
Oh man.
Yeah, it gets a little toxic.
So it's like one of those things called the Tamagotchis or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like if you have to feed me more
yes,
legs.
but more intense.
I think Sam will do good with that. He has good when he has a challenge. He does
Because I'm
very
OCD
well.
about. I pick up that your parents were deaf. My mother was OCD, so I got to deal with that kind of fun stuff, which I guess that helps when we're recording and stuff. It's like, oh god, but So that's interesting too. Just, Grace is not at all music related, but yeah, with deaf parents, like, well, I guess ASL or whatever sign language was probably your first language. I mean, as a child.
Yeah, ASL was my first language. And even that, like when I started learning how to become an interpreter, like communicative and interpreting is like a whole different ball game too. Like I got like seriously served a humble piece of pie when I got into interpreting. So I was like, it made me question whether I knew my language or not.
Yeah.
Because there was these like vast vocabulary terms that I was never exposed to, but it was also because of what I was exposed to from my mom and dad, and their education was limited too, you know? So I only knew as much as they showed me. So here I was interpreting like conscious discipline and all this stuff. I'm like, how do you even sign the word discipline? Like,
I don't want to fingerspell that.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. If you fingerspell everything, people look at you like you don't know how to sign, and that's a stereotype in sign language. So like I had to build my skills up too, but it worked full circle for me now because I'm the strongest signer within my siblings. And I get to work with amazing deaf students that, man, they're like my family.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's got to be good for, like, especially like lyrically, I'd imagine. Just you look at language in a lot of different ways and a lot of different contexts. And that's, again, another thing I learned from Kim that I didn't realize that, you're like, oh, ASL, like, you should be able to, translate for anyway. It's like, no, it's not the same. It's not like word for word.
No.
It's like, oh, okay.
There are signs that mean whole phrases.
Yes. And you bring up a good point just from what you said. A lot of people think that translating is part of sign language. Is not. Translating is spoken word. So like any spoken languages, you translate it. But if you're doing sign language, you're interpreting it. So people always confuse those two things. But it is true what you said about like words. Like when I hear lyrics or read them now, like I have a big, strong love for it because I see it visually in sign.
Yeah.
Even my thoughts right now as I'm speaking, like I see it in my head as my signing, then it comes out in English. Even when I write music too, like I write it how I would sign it, and then I have to go back and rewrite it again how I would write it in English. So it's an ASL structure first, and then I go into English.
Well, that's your first language.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, it's super cool though, but I'm sure it, provides some, at least I'd figure, like,
perspective.
Word construction. But I mean, interesting lines and ways of phrasing things that, for someone who comes from outside that circle, be like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
Yeah, totally.
I know. It's where one of the things I was most excited to talk to you about. Because it was like, nobody else that I've know, period, really comes from that angle, where it's like, it's more of just we can say playing an instrument's physical, but I mean the vernacular's physical. Like everything you do, it's like it comes from a physical and, verbal thing. So it kind of creates, maybe that's how you hit that thing at the end of Eve. Like it comes in and it's just like this whole full body.
Oh my gosh. But to get to that part, it took a whole, like, have you ever seen that scene in the movie La Bamba where Richie Valens keeps doing that rerun? He's like, where? Yeah. It was like that for Eve. Melaine had to go. Melaine, she's my bestie for real. Like, so you know the story about her like brainwashing me for like 6 hours being exposed to all her music, right? Yes. Because she was like, we don't know this type of music. Surely you've heard of this. I'm like, no, I haven't.
Yeah, she said she sat down and corrupted you.
She did. Like there were snacks involved too, so I wasn't mad.
But that is the best thing though when you get someone who's like, you don't know any of, like I can show you.
She was just like, it was like the best life-changing moment either, because that's a whole nother story too. Like we always knew each other, but we never knew that both of us like would sing, until like one time I heard this voice in the voice auditions. Someone was singing something. I think it was like either Over the Rainbow, and it sounded like Melaine's voice. And that was the time where she had like this bright red cherry hair, and she was like hardcore pin-up-y. And I remember just hearing that voice, like, I know this voice, but I don't know who it is, but I feel like I've heard this voice before. And I remember peeking and seeing her, and I was like, she's a cool, badass chick. I hope one day we become friends. And then like later on, like I met Ro through a group that I was in called Benefit Betties. It was like a nonprofit organization that would send care packages to troops overseas and volunteer in Houston. You're probably gonna hate me somewhere. No,
I like people who volunteer.
But I didn't know that was his wife. Like, Malane was his wife.
Yeah.
And then so I got introduced to Malane, and then that time I was pushing out, YouTube videos of me just, once again, in my safe spot, just fully clothed, of course, just sitting in my bathtub, feet kicked up, little ukulele, and I was just singing whatever just popped in my head. And she liked me, and then she called me one day because Roy had my number and then asked me to be a part of the band, and it was like corruption happened. Tattoos and piercings happened. In a whole different world. But yeah, like you were saying, it when I sing, I like really put all of myself into it because I see and feel the words in both my languages. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
I think also that might be like I have trouble moving on stage and like making things look organic.
Okay.
Because I don't feel comfortable on stage, even though I've been on stage.
Oh my God, you're a goddess when you sing, though.
But I don't feel comfortable up there. Like to me, the guys behind the instruments look comfortable. They have something to kind of like hide behind, and they move with their instruments. But I don't. But like I watch you move your hands a lot. But you're also playing instruments. But when you're not, you don't just stand there. Like you're kind of a bubbly person to begin with, and I think that helps. But your personality really comes out on stage, which is cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You know what the secret is to that? You gotta find something in the crowd or a spot at the wall, and you just gotta be flirtatious with it. Like if you I see you bird poop on the wall, ha cha cha. I'm singing to that piece, so you know what.
In my luck, there'd be some weirdo back there.
Well, I'm sure that's happened to Jewelz. But it is funny. There's definitely like
I've shined someone's bald head before.
Like an attitude to it. It's always funny because like Jewelz, like she's trying to give someone like the what for, you're doing like the finger points and stuff.
I sure do. I need you to hear me and know where I'm coming from, which is probably why words of affirmation is probably like my biggest love language, because for me, like your word means everything to me because of how I see it signed in my head too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, versus actions, which is weird, but it made me realize that part of myself too. So if someone says, I got you, I believe them, because like if I say like, I got you, that means like I support you, like I got your back, so yeah, it's kind of cool.
I really thought about it because I'm more of like an actions person, but yeah, Sam's more of a language guy too, I think. Like,
oh yeah, well, I did like journalism and stuff like that, but it's more
but I say like for like how you support people, like you're really good at describing things and like making people seem so freaking cool. And
oh, that's cool.
I don't stop long enough to do all these personal reflections on the things. I will say, I have been at the library that I've done more like personality tests and things like that. But even those, I'm like, I don't see that. It's like a fortune teller. It's vague enough that it could fit anybody.
Right. You get what you want out of it.
I guess my self-reflection, I'm a skeptic. It's all just like, it's all a ruse to get something out of us.
Dang.
How much was that personality test?
You haven't listened to any of his songs? He's dark.
But I like it, though. Right. I'm like, all right, I see where you're coming from with that.
Don't listen.
Don't trust anybody. Got it.
Yeah, right. Trust no one.
Trust no one.
It's kind of funny though, because that's one thing. I think that was one of my favorite dynamics the first time. The first time we played with Shame on Me, my favorite thing was showing Kim the Long River Sessions video. She's like, "We can't play that show."
What?
I was like, "What?" She's like, "I can't sing like with them. Like they're amazing."
I did say that.
That's
I was like, they're really cool, but we can't do a show with them because I will not be able to get on stage. We have to go before them. I will not be able to sing after them.
What? And here we are, like, we would love to sing with you.
Yeah, no, I would. We're gonna get together and do it one day. You guys have like this. And shame on me, at least. You have like this really put together. You guys match and shit. Like you really.
And it's also funny because Pat and Ro are like kind of even off stage are kind of quiet, and then like you and Mel have these like bigger personalities. And I'm like, it's great. That's what I liked about the dynamic was I was like, here's the two like female front people. They're just like, what hey, what's up? We're here. Like this is the show. This is what's happening. This is what's going down. And Ro's like, dude, great show. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
all that banter on stage is real.
Right.
Ain't nothing fake about that.
And then Pat just kind of nods like, yes.
Oh, but like Pat wears his thoughts on his face so well, so that's why I always like laugh if I like look back and if I see him go like this, just shakes his head. I'm like, ooh.
I don't know if that's a drummer thing because I've noticed that too. Like, yeah,
they sit back there, keep the beat and judge.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Keep the beat and judge.
Judgy beat keepers, we love
Pat's
you.
amazing. He's like the Professor X, like, you know, in X-Men and stuff. Like that's the go-to for everything. If he's happy and if he's fed, he's happy. So we always make sure Papa Pat is taken care of.
I can relate. I get hangry.
Really?
Yes.
So, yeah, I always try to carry something like a Snickers or something.
Man, that's amazing. I can't eat before singing. I feel like I'm gonna just bleh.
Oh, I try not to, but like
Yeah, it runs
if
the
I
whole
have
set.
to,
I'm afraid I'm a burp in the middle of a song or something.
I definitely wouldn't do it right before.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I'm usually like 4 hours before the show. I'm not going to eat anything.
Yeah. Ooh,
my
hey,
gosh.
look at this. We just stumbled into like some like singer advice. Definitely do not eat anything, especially nothing spicy. At least a couple hours
Heartburn
before you do a show.
I think the worst thing that ever happened to me before singing was, this also goes into early sound checks. Like, you ever been to a really early sound check and then the show's like probably like 4 or 5 hours later? This happened to us at a brewery. I think it was like Eighth Wonder Brewery, and it was like right after the whole hurricane barrel, so everything was still hot, sticky, and humid. Everybody's electricity was just barely starting to run. And me, I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty. Oh, what's that on tap? Because we had unlimited like drinks or whatever. I'm like, man, this must be some like refreshing like seltzer water or something. 6 cups in later, I didn't realize it was THC.
Oh my goodness.
Seltzer water. And I think I understood Santana when he saw his fretboard turn into like a snake or something, like his whole guitar neck. Like I think I understand that now, because like I felt like the music notes were like flowing out of me in the weirdest sense, and I was just on a happy bubble going wee, you know.
Was that THC or were those mushrooms?
That was THC, but I was probably dehydrated too. So drink lots of water before you sing.
Ooh, yeah, definitely.
Stay hydrated. I usually down a gallon before I do like anything on stage.
I can't do that because then I will be off stage peeing every.
After that, I need to drink another gallon because I'm so parched after that.
Yeah, I try to I need a beer before I go on stage just to kind of settle my nerves.
Okay.
But I try to do like a beer and a water, Try to like alternate.
Okay.
Keep myself hydrated.
Stay
and sometimes I don't
thirsty.
drink at all. It just kind of depends. But
Yeah, the atmosphere and stuff like that too. But you mentioned that our outfits always match. We have this theory called the ghost outfit theory. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So basically, I ain't trying to be all dark, but it's okay.
you can match Sam for a minute.
So ghost outfit theory is meaning like, what is before you die, when you die, the outfit that you wear, that's your forever outfit.
Oh, okay. I have actually heard.
So that's
this.
the ghost outfit. So whenever we're planning colors or like our outfit, we're like, all right, girl, what's the ghost outfit tonight? And so she'll be like, all right, I'm going to wear this. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just going to wear the same colors, but I'm going to switch it. So if you're doing red on top, then I'm going to do red on bottom or something.
Goodness great. I don't have as big of a closet.
No, we make it work.
And the times that I have tried to match with the guys, they're always like, you should stand out. So I don't think they want to really match.
Did I say that? I'm just normally like, you always wear a dress. I'm the one who's normally like, dude, you ever just want to wear like a t-shirt and a cap like we do?
True. We had a show not too long ago, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me, but like I'm cold all the time lately. And
but you look so gorgeous on stage, though. You look like a beautiful unicorn.
Okay. But we went to do a show, and like I was just cold, and I was like, I'm gonna wear a hoodie. Like I'm just gonna wear a sweatshirt. And I was like, is that too casual? He was like, I don't give a shit. And I was like, yeah, right. That's not
dope.
a professional job. I can wear what the hell I want.
Exactly. It is your canvas. You paint it how you want to paint it.
And that's what it is.
And I just don't have any nice clothes anymore. So I'm like, jeans, t-shirt, that's fine. If we ever get, that's something I would put out there. Like, if we do ever get to the point where we have disposable income for outfits, I will dress far nicer, and it's not me selling out. It's just finally, like, I can dress. I can go out and buy me like a nice like linen suit or something.
Nah, I totally get that. A lot of times, like, what we do is
David Byrne. You're gonna wear a linen suit on stage.
David Byrne has to be an inflatable suit though.
See, I was thinking more of like the fat Justin Townes Earl is what I was going for.
Oh,
like
my
the
side.
old like
You want the
40s
Western outfit?
No, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, he wears like the nice like linen like suits, like the nice light jacket.
I'm sorry, Justin Townes Earl.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
that's what I always thought looked cool, man.
No, we do a lot of thrifting. Sometimes we'll like give each other our wardrobes and be like, hey, this looks better on you than it would on me. Our colors are matched from like our specific orishas that we pray to, because Melaine and I are both in the same religion. So like, for example, if we're at a beach, we're gonna wear a specific color that is tied to our orisha, which is also like tied with the ocean, right? So it'll be like blues and whites, or maybe dark blues or something. If it were at the river, it would be like some type of yellow, because that represents a significant orisha as well, so like there's a lot of symbolism in what we wear.
Cool.
And also, like,
you guys always look really hot.
Oh my god, thank you. But we have our special totems too. Like, I always have to wear some type of white because it's tied with who's with me, just like Melaine always has to wear red. What I want to stick out when I'm on stage is like, I love my lips, so I always wear a bold ass red lip, because it, like, I feel like it kind of, that's the one thing you'll catch the attention of, like, I'll get somebody's attention that way. Like, if you want to remember me, then you'll remember my big red lips or something, or my big huge eyeliner that looks like Alice Cooper at the end of the show or something.
Right.
Well,
I know for me it was the voice. I do have a. It's funny that you mentioned earlier that you had like did you have like a crush on Alicia Keys? You said.
Oh man, yes.
Like, I have songwriter crushes, singer crushes, totally. Yeah.
Always, yeah.
Anybody who doesn't sound like anybody else.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
If you have a really unique voice, I'm down. I'm gonna listen.
For real.
Yeah. And you and Mel both, like, so strong. Like, that's my only worry about singing. We've talked about getting together and singing, is like, I don't know if I can be as loud as you guys are.
Oh, nice.
You have a lot of volume, which is cool.
You do too, though. You have a very strong foundation in your voice. I love it.
She needs other people to push. That's where, like, for me, it's like playing pickup ball against like a 5-year-old. Like, I'm like both notes I can hit, and Kim's like all over the place. And I think it'd be good to get some rehearsal time with somebody who actually can sing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rebecca and I from Grifters and Chills have like thrown around the idea of doing like some kind of like just like an all-girl project.
That would be dope. She's another unicorn too. Right? Oh my gosh, she plays that kazoo too in her bass. It's so dope. I love it.
Really lucky with like how awesome the music community is in Houston.
It's so supportive
and like just so much freaking talent.
Yeah. I don't know if you had the same experience or not, but like, I feel like I've been very blessed to run into a lot of Houston musicians who are not egotistical and big-headed.
Right.
Like, they're very supportive of each other. Like, if you don't know like the number system when you're playing like the guitar, like, there's somebody that'll gladly explain it to you and lead you into the right way about it. Or maybe like, like you said, like hitting a certain note, then someone else who's a vocalist has some type of like, suggestions and make your foundation, a lot more stronger. Like, it's like nobody withheld information, and it's so cool. I love it.
And I love how, like, in Houston, I mean, we try to do it when we go on the road, but here it's pretty regular. We love doing mixed genre shows where we play with bands who don't sound anything like us.
I like that, though.
I want to go to a show where I have to hear 3 or 4 different bands. I don't want to hear the same band 4 times.
That's true.
We're so lucky here that like the community is good, and it's good that you can't really be a jerk and like get anywhere. So they kind of go by the wayside.
You have to stay humble.
Well, there's a good like diverse community and people bringing in like I'm really into this style of music. I'm really into this, and then a lot of people get in bands together where it's like, well, none of us we all like this stuff, but we don't regularly listen to anything the same together.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then you come in and you're like, this is what we made together. And it's like, you can tell there's like little pieces of everything in there.
Yeah, it's a nice, like what we always say, it's a nice gumbo.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
It is a nice gumbo.
Shame on Me.
It's even like that. And yeah, like in Shame on Me, we all have different music styles. And it's so cool. It's the one thing I geek out. Like another one of my biggest love languages is somebody's song like playlist. If you share a playlist with me or a song with me, it's just like, to me that means everything, because one, you're opening up your headspace for me, because now I can kind of see where your headspace is at, because somehow you relate to the music. And two, wow, like you took your time to make a playlist. That's amazing. So like we're always sharing playlists in our little band fam, no matter what.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm always like, more candy. Especially for me, because like I'm still developing my taste in music too. Because like I said, like coming from a family where music wasn't a thing, it's literally a rabbit hole that I love falling into.
I bet.
Especially, oh my God, Pat's playlists are like crazy, insane. Like he'll be like jamming to house music and all of a sudden gets into a whole international vibe. And then it goes right back into experimental jazz to rock and roll and into like straight gangster music. And I'm just like, okay.
I love those. Like, I don't want to hear, something that's the same. We actually were talking to Joel the other night and he recommended this jazz singer because I told him about my secret love of Nina Simone. I'm sorry. And like he gave me a name and we threw it on the TV. Ooh. And I was just listening and like her voice was almost like a clarinet. Like,
what's her name?
I wish I could remember.
Oh, you're gonna have to share with me.
Yeah, I will. I'll send it to you. But like, what's funny is like I'm used to listening to stuff like that. Like I listen to everything.
I love bipolar playlists.
Yes. Whereas like Sam didn't grow up listening to like Broadway and jazz and
I'm a big opera.
Well, that's not really true. Like my dad was a huge jazz fan. My mom was.
Singers.
I just don't appreciate it. Like, I mean, I say I appreciate it now, but it wasn't the part of music that I gravitated
for sure.
to.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I know people are good singers, but I don't like break it down. Like if someone's playing guitar a certain way, it's like, oh, this, or like playing bass, doing it. The musical part, I way more get like, I understand the technical aspect.
Yeah.
I learned to sing out of necessity because I felt like every band I was in was like, who's going to sing? Like, you'll do it.
Oh my god!
And it's like the one who's like, okay, and so it took a while till I learned to sing.
Do you still feel that way now, or do you feel like you have even a bigger sense of like appreciation and love for it than what you did when you first started?
Oh yeah, no, now like I understand a lot more, and a lot of it's playing with him. Like I appreciate harmonies a lot more. Like
that stuff is hard.
Oh yeah. Like, I knew what they were, but it was stuff that didn't really come into my world. I mean, even a lot of music I listened to, even if there were a lot of harmonies and stuff. So, I mean, my mom was, like, huge. Like, I grew up listening to all the Motown and, like, Stax records and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what's up.
She, like, non-ironically loved pop singers and things like that. Because that was what... I
love that.
It's an odd phrase to use. That's, like, what got her off on music. Was, like, she loved the vocal part. Like, the acrobatics of people who could... Like, insert... Like, Diana Ross was her favorite. But, like, then she thought Celine Dion was amazing. Because she could do all these crazy things with her voice. And then, she's the one who's like, oh, my God. Like, my exposure to people like Kelly Clarkson and things like that was from my mom, who was just like, this is an amazing singer. And I was like, yeah, but the lyrics aren't really doing a lot for me in this song. And she's like, that doesn't matter. Listen to the note, like how she sang
the
that
vocal
piece.
Techniques and stuff of it.
And I was like, whatever. But I mean, I did appreciate it. But then when I got with Kim and started seeing what went into it, it was like, oh wow, like
oh yeah.
I may have also been dismissive because it was never going to be part of my world that I would be able to create. I didn't have choir. I didn't have anything. I mean, until really, I learned to sing. A friend of mine, we used to do like song swap things. And I have a friend, Nathan Taylor, who's like amazing vocalist. I mean, just cool. Killer. And I used to just push the mic away and I would do my best to sing with Nathan, like lower.
Yeah.
But I mean, not lower volume, not where I can pick out a lower note, but I would try to sing exactly what he was singing. And my ability to sing, like within 6 months, like went like giant steps just being around that. So
For sure, because it's a muscle that you're working out. Like, people forget that if you don't use it, you definitely do lose it. Like, man, there's runs I used to be able to hit when I was like in my early 20s. If I were to do that same run again, I couldn't even do that. But our bodies are always evolving too. Like, I don't think people realize like hormones play a factor, crying, trauma. If you're a woman, your menstrual cycle will mess up your voice register too and bring it down like a couple of octaves too. Like, there's a whole science behind it. So what you were saying about like your voice, it's a drastic, change in it after just, collaborating with your friend. Like, yeah, it's true. You have to work the muscles out.
I think a lot of it too is, I'm getting my vocal theory, but anyway.
Sorry, I'm a nerd for that because I was a voice student too. So
because I think a lot of it too is, like I always tell Kim, for me, it's learning how it sounds and how it feels internally.
It's a whole different
thing.
Because
you're not hearing the note you're hitting, and you have to learn, like, if I'm singing like a C, this is how it feels and sounds to me.
Yeah.
It's not how it sounds outside of my head because I'm hearing like a different lower thing. So a lot of me, it's like I'm having to learn, well, this is how this note feels.
Okay.
So a lot of times, even when we don't have monitors that are worth a damn, or I can't hear
I
at
hate
all,
when that happens.
it's like I'm okay because I know, like, this is how my chest feels when I'm singing these notes, so I can do okay. I'm still not a good vocalist.
Do you remember how we talked about Roger Krieger? Was it Roger Krieger that's losing his hearing? Who is that that's losing his hearing? The Texas.
Oh, that was Charlie Robinson.
Oh
my goodness.
But like he was able to like keep going. Even Huey Lewis is able to keep going for a little while after he lost a lot of hearing because of that. Because you can,
the vibrations are different with each frequency.
You know how it feels even though you can't hear it. And like that's how I learned to do harmonies, because like when you make that triad or even just the two notes together, there's a certain vibration that happens. Like for me, I don't know if this happens for you. I really have no idea. But like this whole area, like below my chin, my jawbone to like into my chest, just feels like it vibrates.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
true.
I know that I'm doing it right, even if I can't hear myself.
No, there's a big science to it, but also it goes back into vocal theory of like how your voice does sit in different registers of your body. Like you have like, your lower diaphragm area, you have your chest, which is also your mix, but you also have like your head, and then you have your passaggio, which is like right behind your nose. Like, so like where you place that pitch, like it does matter. So like you do feel it even when you feel like your hearing is going out, because I sometimes have to rely on that after, like if we're doing like 2 shows back to back, which I know y'all are familiar with, like your hearing goes out after a while. Like you can't really tell the difference sometimes because everything kind of gets muffled, like because the sound's too loud or something. So you do have to go based off of feeling. But I think that also ties in with deaf culture for me too, because I'm very like in tune with those like vibrations and stuff like that too, because of how I was brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because another thing people don't realize is how many deaf people go to concerts because they can feel like the...
Oh, yeah. They love bass heavy stuff.
You can feel the rhythm. You can also feel the notes, like in the vibrations.
Yeah.
So you know that it's a physical experience as well.
I used to have a student who's deaf in elementary, best breakdancer ever, but would go first, run up to the big like speaker box. You know, like those gigantic like boombox looking things they have now, like a bump box I think it's called. He would go, he'd put his hand there and he'll feel the vibrations and he would count it in his head. And I would see him count it on his hand, and then he'll run to the middle of the gymnasium. He'll start like dancing on beat with it. And it was the most coolest, impressive thing ever.
Wow.
It is, man. It's like, you know, we start out drumming, you have to do that. You have to be like 1 and 2 and...
Yeah, which was probably why sometimes drummers play barefooted too, I guess, because they can feel the vibrations and stuff.
Yeah.
I can feel it when I'm on stage. Do you feel it when all the other instruments are behind you?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's such a like... It's like chicken soup. It's so comfy for me. Like, I love feeling that underneath my feet.
That's what's been cool for Kim, because I was trying to explain to her, like, she finally got to experience it in the last year or so. We've been doing the full band shows.
Yeah.
And, you know, before it was just like mostly just singer-songwriter stuff. I mean, so she was just never that feeling of just like, you know, there's 5 of us on stage all making this unified sound. It's just like that was it. That was the, like, 16 years old, your first high school band. Like, that's the direct to the vein, like, oh.
But I didn't experience it until I was 50.
That's the high, man. That's the high.
But you never come back down from it because you always remember that feeling.
Exactly. And it's funny. I was telling somebody earlier today, like, I have a friend who I met in my 20s. And when I moved to Houston, I didn't know anyone who did music. And so music just kind of died for me.
Oh.
Like, I still listen to the radio, and I loved singers, and I sang, like, in my room. But I didn't know anyone who did music, and so I didn't do music. And so I lived here for 15, 18 years before I met you. No, 15 years. And like, my roommate was just like, who are you? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know you, like, as this musician. And I was like, well, like, you didn't know me as a kid, because, like, music was my whole life growing up, like, I've always sang. I've always written. I started out writing poetry.
Yeah.
Not as cool as your poems.
Nah.
But and then my friend and I, like, she was a dancer. She loved to dance, and like she would sit and write with me, like, we're like in middle school.
Oh, would she dance to your poems?
Well, that's when we started putting our poems to music so we could dance.
That's dope.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. She was a way better dancer than me, so
it's okay. We're all dancers in our heart.
But like, that was my whole life. Music was my whole life until I got married, like 20. So it's funny that when I moved here, like, no one really knew that I was into music at all. So when I joined this band, people were like, I didn't know you could sing. Like, sorry.
Well, me neither. I always tell the story, and a lot of people think it's a joke, but it's true. Like, y'all probably run across it too, especially like you and Mel. It's like whenever you play, and me not being a great singer, it'd always be like, oh man, I'm a singer too. Like, you should hear me at karaoke. I do this. Like, I could be in your band. And you're like, okay, like, we're not really looking to add members. Cool. And then Kim was like, I sing and stuff. Like, I was working on like a solo thing, and I was like, okay, cool. And then we're in her car, and she puts like the CD.
Do you remember the Recording Studios of America?
Oh no, you played this for me after. I'm talking, you sang along to something I recorded.
I singing along?
You sang like a harmony. I was like, then it was like, oh God, she can sing. And then I was like, and then it was like, I got all like self-conscious. I'm like, oh no, she knows I suck. To go back to the Scott Pilgrim thing earlier, it's like, she knows we suck.
She knows.
And it really was. It was like not a joke. And then she was, put on her Recording Studios of America tapes.
Oh yeah. Well, because I, like, my parents, like, were so supportive of me singing. But like, I grew up in a church, so there was not really a whole lot of opportunity for me to perform. Yeah. And my grandmother loved to take me to the mall and let me sing a song, and she would pay for it. So I had like a little collection of like all these songs I sang as a teenager.
That is so cool. Do you still have them?
I have a few, just like a few of them.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And they're so painful to listen to.
Oh,
but it's cool to see where you came from.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Okay, so that poses a question for me. How do you feel when you hear your own voice in songs now? Do you still get that, like, I don't know if you do. I know sometimes for me in the very beginning, I used to be like this, where I get like kind of like, oh my God, that's cringy. Why would I even like want to listen to myself sing that?
Yeah,
like,
I absolutely have trouble hearing myself because I can't hear anything else. If I'm in a mix of like 17, other things, vocals, instruments, drums, all I hear is me and every little mistake I made. That's all I hear.
Gosh.
I know I'm mixing. It's always turn me down. I was like, no, like, you're fine. Like, this is perfect.
But then there is like, after we'll do a show and like the whole show, like, I couldn't hear myself, or like my voice felt weak, which happens sometimes. And then like somebody will have posted an Instagram reel, and Sam will thumb through it on the way home, on the drive home, and I'll be like, I know. Oh no, that sounded okay. It wasn't bad.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, I thought I sounded like crap, but I sounded good tonight.
Oh, man, we definitely are our own worst critics sometimes.
Definitely.
So definitely, I think some of the best like vocals I've done on Shame on Me ended up just being like a oops, I didn't mean to sing that. They're like, no, we're keeping it. And I'm like, oh well, okay, here we are.
That was good. You're like, now I gotta figure out how to do that every time.
I know. I'm like, damn it, Jewelz, more work.
I love that they just let you loose.
Oh, nah.
Like a kid in a candy store.
No,
just like,
it's happened.
Okay,
so that happened in Hey Girl one time, and I remember recording so many different layers of ad-libs and harmonies. I was like, y'all get to pick which y'all want now. They're like, I don't even know which one to pick at this point because it was just like
I've done so many.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, now, I mean, we've talked about the fact that you've contributed to, like, you know, all these other bands and you play instruments. You've been, just lately, you've been, you know, getting out there and doing your own stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole different scary world, too.
I was going to say, how does that feel?
It is because, like, when I was telling Masaya, because I did it with Long River Sessions, I've just had my songs sitting in my notebooks for like maybe a couple of years, and like I just accumulated.
Do you play them?
I do now, okay. Yeah, but they were all like they all started off like as diary entries, and then they became something else. Like I always write from an experience or a place of like vulnerability, something I've felt or I've seen, because I feel like that's how music should be. You know, because you're never truly alone, because someone else is going to connect to your experience, you know, in some way. And I was just like, you know what, let's just see what happens if I just do it. So this year's been more of I'm just going to put myself out there. It doesn't mean like I'm not part of, like, you know, Shame on Me or Dim Roots or anything like that, because man, that's my band fam.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always down for them. Like, that's...
Well, and you guys obviously have so much fun together.
Yeah, you know, that's a forever thing. But I guess I want to see... I don't want to live my life not knowing that I didn't try to throw something on the wall and hope it sticks, you know?
Well, I think you've thrown a lot on the wall. I mean,
like a Jackson Pollock painting or something.
The cool thing is it all seems to be sticking, and it's all really good.
And I think that's the scary part about it, because I didn't you said, you know how we are our own worst critics, you know? So I didn't really think like my solos or something now would like make sense to anybody, or if they were good enough. Then I had to remind myself, like, no, why should they be good enough for anybody else? They should be good for you, because those were your personal experiences. It doesn't matter if somebody listens to them or not. Like, it's about you. Stop putting yourself second. Put yourself first.
Yeah. And then, you know, if you don't want to put it out there, don't. If you do.
But don't live your life wondering what if, just because, you know, you were scared or something. So no, I don't want to live like that. So it's like, you know, let me just do something that I've never done before. So I just gave that a shot, and I now I'm with So Far Sounds. So I have a show coming up March 8th for International Women's Day.
Oh, cool.
And so I guess the location is somewhere in the Heights. I don't know exactly where, because like there's, you know, it's those pop-up shows.
I love those little secret pop-up shows.
So yeah, I get to do my first So Far Sounds show. So I'm like geeking out about it too. Yeah. So something there, something little by little.
That's really cool. Yeah. I think that like what you're telling me is very similar to like what I've heard Sam say over and over again. It's just like I couldn't not see what I could accomplish.
Exactly.
You know? Like nobody else is going to do this for me. You know, if it's going to happen, it's going to be me putting myself out there.
Exactly.
And I think you just like you have to make it a habit.
Yeah, even if it scares you, like you have to make it a habit. Actually, Sam, you said something to me at Shady Acres that resonated with me so hard. And I think it was probably the third time I picked up my guitar and played. And I was just like, I don't know how this sounds, but I'm just going to play. I know I messed up, but you know, I'm going to keep going. You're like, that's all you can do. He goes, you're going to mess up and you just got to keep going. You learn from it and you keep going. And I think you said something along the lines of just do it, Jewelz. Who gives a crap?
Well, yeah, because everyone makes mistakes. That's what, when I used to do music press, I say, it's funny as we talked to Jordan a while back, she was talking about that going after being in a band that toured for years. She's like, I'm in a show, and I'm like, okay, these two are having a fight right now. And this, I can just tell by body language and stuff. And it's also as when you're in a band, you'll start going to shows and you'll see people's head jerk, and you're like, oh, the guitar player just made a mistake.
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't even hear it. Like, I didn't even notice it, but you could tell by the body language.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of smirking at that person. You're like, they missed a note or they did this. So it really comes down to that, you know, we're all going to make mistakes. You just have to go like, that's the point when I think it's not the skill level. It's not like that. When you become a professional musician is when you're like, I made a mistake and it didn't throw everything off.
And I didn't quit.
Yeah.
You just kind of like let it go or make like I remember seeing Brian Wilson, and they're doing, the Beach Boys song, Golly Knows What I'd Do Without You. And
oh my gosh,
he's trying to hit that
song.
And I don't think he could ever hit that note. It was more of everyone else, but he was doing it and like his voice kind of cracked and he picked up a glass of water and shook it and took a sip. And it's like, yeah.
You got to play it off.
Right, where some people would have lost it. But the reason you have like 10 vocalists up there is because it's like if one of you lose, it's fine. You're okay. And it's that whole, it's a human experience. It's no fun if you're going and it's not a human experience. Like if you see a live show and something weird happens, and sometimes those weird things are some of the best parts of the show.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
You're like, oh, the way they did that song thing. It's like, yeah, no, that wasn't on purpose. Like,
it just kind of just happened. Yeah. Oh my God. I'll never forget the first time I played my guitar. I was so terrified, and I was at Shady Acres. That was when our sound engineer, also friend, Art Baez, was still alive. And like, he just like convinced me to play the guitar. He's like, you just need to go out there and play. Plug in. Don't worry, mama. I got you. It's gonna be okay. I'll make you sound good. I was so terrified to plug in. I was like, I'm just gonna play just like this. I'm not gonna plug in. I just want to get in the habit of moving my guitar kind of like training wheels, and then I'll get there. And now I think about that moment all the way to now, and I'm just like, dang, if it wasn't something, always magical happens at Shady Acres for some reason. Like when you telling me that tidbit of advice and Art too, like it's just special to me. But that was also the time a big giant cockroach flew on me from that giant oak tree. Oh my God, so the beauty of live music, right? You never know what you're gonna get. Right. I remember just smacking it with my tambourine, and it flew and fell right down between me and Melaine. And Malaine's looking like she was about to, like she's terrified of roaches.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So I was like, oh Lord, she's gonna jump with her bass. So I did my best to kind of cover it with my foot.
Don't look.
And the people were laughing because they saw what I was doing, but I think they thought it was part of the show. Because I can play off ditzy sometimes on stage too. We had the most tips that night because I smacked the roach with a tambourine.
Great.
That's funny.
That's actually
that girl's got extra talent.
She can smack 3 roaches.
Right. That's what's done to me last time I saw y'all at Shady Acres, that like I was like, man, Jewelz' guitar is like pretty high in the mix tonight. And it sounds good. Like it was like she's getting it down, man. Like,
I was like, oh my God. I didn't even realize.
You're already like doing got the good like fingernail thing happening.
Yeah, I didn't know you very well, but I would not have guessed that was like one of your first times to play guitar on stage. You just look so comfortable up there.
Oh no, I'm dying on the inside sometimes. I'll never show it. I'm gonna try not to. I'm just like, okay, don't fuck it up.
Yeah, right. I think that's every musician, as before we start, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Well, even now with like other stuff we're doing, I'm like having to relearn to play guitar because it's like once you start doing your band and your songs, it's like anything outside of that orbit, you're like, I don't know how to do that anymore.
That's true.
Like I used to be able to do all this other stuff, but I only ever really do our songs and stuff. And I'm just like, just rhythm for our band. It's like, I forgot how to play anything else.
Speaking of that flicking that you were talking about, that's cool that you noticed that I do the little flick strum thing.
Yeah.
I was inspired by Antonio Banderas whenever Desperado, and I wanted to be cool like that. Where he's busting out with them like cases and he's posing like a mariachi and there's like guns and swords up in there and something like that. But he used to do that flick, the flamenco flick or whatever, and I kind of just like the way it felt, but it also feels like I'm signing. So it's natural for me just to flick like that. And confession, I hate picks. I don't like using picks at all. So sometimes like I'll wear my acrylic nails because I wanted to be like Dolly Parton too. Mm-hmm. That's hard still to this day. But I keep one side short where I hold the strings and this side, the picking side, a little bit longer so I can do extra on those flicks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of banjo players do that. They go
get acrylic nails.
Remember, what was it? Steve Martin was talking about that in the thing where he's like, his people thought he was crazy. He's like, I only want my thumb and my first 3 fingers. They're like, what about your pinky? Like, no. And he goes, I want them like kind of done like a triangle.
Oh,
he's like, so he goes and gets his nails done every week with acrylics to play banjo with.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. He's amazing on banjo too.
Yeah. So it's like, he's like, every time we'll stop in some city and I'll go to just some random nail place. I'm like, here's what I need.
They look at him crazy.
At him like, tries not to tell him what it's for. Just like, I want
Weird
this.
Old white guy.
Right. He's like, here's like this 70-year-old dude coming in like, I want these 4 nails it's done. They're like,
But it's true. You do get looked at crazy for it. That's why I go to one specific nail person now, because they know. And so, well, that's crazy.
and, it's the tricks of the trade, but it does work. And
It does.
So that's cool, man.
So you've been writing. Have you been writing newer songs, or are you still just kind of pulling from your songbook?
I'm always still writing more new songs too.
Does it start? I mean, I know you said that they start out as like diary entries, kind of.
Yeah, they either start off as like a poem, a diary entry, or like what I'll do sometimes is on a piece of paper. If I have a certain feeling, I'll write it in the middle of the paper, and I draw a huge like web, and then I start writing just like ideas.
Do you like a mind
it.
map for a song? That's
yeah,
really
I do
cool.
a mind map. Yeah,
that's really a good idea.
I know. I'm like,
think about that.
I never even thought of it.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's great.
That's
And
why I
then
asked.
the
I'm
dorky
curious.
side, I add what signs match those words. So for example, if it's like heartbroken, then I'll write like a C-shaped hand next to it, because like I feel like defeated, like I feel small, so like I add the visual with it. So it's a big mind map. It's a 5-subject notebook, and I have all kinds of like doodles and mind maps, and sometimes I'll write in a spiral. Like, so my trick is like I never let my pen like lift off the paper. It has to keep writing. If I'm stuck, then I'll scribble and keep scribbling, and I'll just keep going.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds kind
I'm
of
just learning
crazy.
so much.
No, but I mean, it's all these things. As somebody who went through writing school, it's a lot of stuff that they tell you in writing school to do.
Oh,
Like, keep going, don't stop. If you do, you just take some time to write just different ideas.
yeah.
Pick up a page and just fill a page with various ideas and things, and then go back and fill backs. But the book I just finished reading, I've referenced it, I think, for like 3 or 4 episodes now, because it took me a while to listen to the whole book. I been listening to Bob Mould from Husker Du's biography. That's what he taught. He did journals, and he would just write about his feelings and things that were going on. Nothing lyrical. And then he would go back and reread them and write songs out of, how can I say this paragraph like in like 2 lines of a song, and and that's how he would go back and write albums. I'd write it's like I would journal about everything, not necessarily like today I got up and I ate toast. It would be like I felt like this today, and this is how I coped with something, and just kind of going through his feelings about personal interactions and stuff, and then go back and be like, all right.
Yeah, it is like that.
So it's kind of neat to see how the different ways people come at it,
For sure.
I mean, that's the whole, what was it, Billy Joe Shaver thing, where that's what he just wrote poems, and he's like, I had to hide them because it was sissy if you're out and working in the cotton fields and someone came up and they're like, what are you doing? Like, nothing.
So my friend Nick Gaitan, I've had the pleasure of singing with him. He has many stories about Billy Joe Shaver, because he actually toured with Billy Joe Shaver. So he would tell me he's like the biggest storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how he would write. He said he would just tell stories, and if they didn't make sense, they didn't, but he would just keep telling his stories and go back and then just revisit those ideas and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I realized, because so much like of what I wrote before just was, it's definitely not what I do now. It just kind of like came to me and I wrote it down.
That's cool.
But now it's a little different. Like I like will stew on an idea for a good while, but it always amazes me when I can see someone's process, or they tell me what their process is. Because my process isn't that great. I'm always looking to improve my process.
You know who's another good lyricist, local musician that I really adore? Like, there's so many amazing ones, but as far as lyrics wise, I really enjoy Opie Hendrix's lyrics a lot. Like, from his new album, Monsters and Robots and stuff like that.
I've not listened to
It's
Opie, but I know the name, and I know I need to get there.
It's
I
cool.
know I need to do that. Because, we like, if you're a person who's into lyrics and singing, I think if you're a singer, then lyrics matter.
Always, yeah.
Always. Yeah, because you have to interpret them.
8 hours.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think
Sometimes I think about, I'm just going to say it out. It sits in my head sometimes. I think about like sitting there and just interpreting, like any live music show I go to. I just want to sit there and interpret the lyrics just right then and there. and like create like a little like TikTok page on it. Like, okay, one song from Brightwire. I'm gonna do one song from Brightwire, one song from Opie, one song from Dim or something, and just put it out there like
that's
that.
a really cool way to, number one, to create content for yourself. Because we all have to do that.
Oh, I know that's exhausting too sometimes.
That's cool ideas. Like music you like, local people you like.
Yeah,
really cool.
And that idea also stemmed because I work with individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, and also interpreter friends. Sometimes they want to come to our shows. So there was a show at Continental we did with Me, and my deaf friends showed up, and like I was just like, whoa, but wait, there's no interpreter. And then I realized two of my interpreter friends were with them, but they didn't know the lyrics. I always carry lyrics with me in my bag. So I remember running to the bag, grabbing all the lyrics, grabbing like a little light, setting up a table and laying out the lyrics there. And then my friends were actually interpreting the show for my friends who are deaf.
That's really cool.
It was the coolest thing to see. I hate my baby daddy inside.
Right, that's funny.
And the whole time, like, Elaine and I are, getting into it, and but I couldn't help but look on the side and just kind of giggle because I'm like, hee. They just signed I hate my effing baby daddy.
I want to know what the sign is.
That's how you would think,
Nobody can see that, but it was very satisfying for me.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh my gosh. So what else do you have planned? Like, what are you going to do in the future? Do you know?
Well, I just got Logic, so I'm gonna familiarize myself with Logic and just start putting some solo stuff down on it. I started taking a sound engineer class and program at San Jack because I wanted to just fill my toolbox, and so we'll just go from there.
Very cool.
Still, do music with the band fams, but I'm also gonna do stuff for myself too. So my goal is at least put 2 songs or 1 song out like each month or something on Logic. The writing process, I'm still writing, because life is gonna always be life, and no matter what.
Yep.
And the heart will always be broken and renewed every single day too. So I am a hopeless romantic, so I always like to write about love.
But it is like that's how you process.
Yeah. That or get tattoos, I mean, we got too many. I want more. It's like potato chips.
Right. All right. Well, we're approaching. We're actually. This has been going too smooth, man. I look down. It's like it's been an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, for real? Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna bring it. We got a question that was our new season question, which came from our friends in Rock Bottom String Band. Because they were like, what if we did this? And I was like, yeah. So we're going to go through 1 podcast, 1 book, and 1 album that you think people should check out or that are special to you.
Oh, wow. 1 podcast.
Do you listen?
I do.
Okay.
So if you're into true crime and dark, creepy, cool stuff, last podcast on the left.
Yep.
That would be the podcast. Book. I'm a big Colleen Hoover fan. So like if you're into like smut and like smut and mystery and all that cool stuff.
I couldn't see that, but she was trying to hide her face when she said smut.
I'm also in a book club too. So like I'm big on that Houston Traveling Books sorority. So we always read books. Anyway, Verity, the extended version is like intense, especially when they like describe the bite on the headboard and stuff. It just makes me go, ay Dios mío. But anyway. Or the After Dark series from like Disney, but the villains' perspectives. That's some good smut too. But
wow. Go Disney.
Go Disney. I mean Emily McIntyre, whatever. Okay, so podcast, book, album. Ooh, album. Man, local or just in general?
Anything, whatever album you're in love with at the moment, or period.
Oh, that's so hard. Man, my go-to that I could always either I would have to say the Unplugged album of Lauryn Hill always will still be my favorite. Yeah, Unplugged Lauryn Hill or Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, I like Janelle Monáe a lot.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Or Tyler, the Creator. Either one.
Right on. Was that close out? Is there anything that we missed that you feel like you need to let us know?
No, just I'm really thankful to be here. Thanks for listening to my story and me ramble and be silly all at the same time.
Where can people find you on social media?
Jewelz Melody. That's the same name for all the social media platforms. Real easy. Yeah, and I think the last thing I would say is just always pick that good ghost outfit. And second, don't be afraid to take chances and make mistakes.
I love it.
Kimberly.
Bye.
All right, y'all, that does it with this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. I mean, what a story, right? I mean, we were just absolutely blown away and get a whole new perspective on life and music talking to Jewelz. It really meant a lot for her to spend the evening with us talking in our living room. That's all I can say. What a great episode. Unfortunately, Health wasn't there, but he will be returning on this next episode we have coming up. We'll be doing Carter Felker from up in Canada. We're going to be talking to him. He's a friend to Sean Burns, who you may have remembered from last season. And as always, tell folks if you dig it. Check out Jewelz everywhere you can on social media and online. Mark those calendars for when you see Shame on Me performing or Jewelz solo. And just do yourself that favor, man. We'll see you in 2 weeks with Carter Felker, man. Oh, wait, that's right. We have outro music. If you want to hear one of the best vocal performances on record, here we go. Jewelz performing with Shame on Me, their song Eve. When you hear that big, you'll know when it happens. Listen and just enjoy the moment. Later.